The government of Saskatchewan changed the rules for shopping websites from out of province last spring, but it seems at least one retail giant isn't complying. Amazon.ca has never collected or remitted PST to Saskatchewan. The practice used to be voluntary, but even after new legislation made it a requirement, the site hasn't changed its policies. Bridget Yard joins me from our Saskatoon studio with more on this story. Hi, Bridget.
Hi.
How is it possible that this website simply does not follow the rules?
Well, basically, they never had to. As you said, it was voluntary for many years for online retailers from out of province to collect the 6% PST and then remit it as well. Now, I should mention that Amazon.com, the U.S. counterpart, does remit PST through the Border Services Agency when those products come across the border from the United States. Now, Amazon.ca has been asked several times to comply, but so far there hasn't been any progress. So another issue that I should mention is for the consumer. Since Amazon.ca is not complying, the consumer is expected to both record and remit the 6% on that purchase. So there's a website, or there's a form on the Saskatchewan government's website to do so, but they only recoup about a little over $1 million every year on this. The government does, so very few people actually do it.
What can the government do in this case to try and collect what I would imagine is quite a bit of money from Amazon.ca?
There are some legal avenues that are available to them, but the representative that I spoke to was very vague on that, and he said that it's unlikely that they will pursue legal action.
We can estimate the tax that they're owing here in Saskatchewan, and we can attempt then to legally establish that and pursue it from them, given their assets in Ontario as an example. There are some avenues to us, legal avenues for us to, pursue it should they not want to be licensed. We hope that it doesn't go there.
So Hebert says that the government does have a good track record of getting online vendors to comply with this rule. But I should mention also that Amazon.ca lists every other province on its website aside from Alberta, and beside it lists the amount of tax that it collects for each province. So the assumption is that it does pay other provinces in the country.
We still don't know how much money Amazon.ca would owe the province. Would you say there's any effect at all on local vendors with storefronts in our province?
Possibly. So it's basically an unfair advantage for Amazon.ca. So for example, I visited a 252 boutique here in Saskatoon, which is locally owned and operated, and the owner there both collects and remits 6% on every purchase. She calls this disappointing that Amazon doesn't do so.
If anyone doing business here has to, anyone that's selling to someone in the province should be. It helps us all out, right? Because it just brings more money into our province.
Understandable that retailers would at least like a fair playing field. Do we know what happens next with this story, Bridget? Did the government give you any indication about how it will proceed if legal action isn't something that it's going to take?
Well, the representative I spoke to did say that Amazon.ca is expected to eventually comply, but they couldn't say when exactly that would be. And in the meantime, like you said, there's no count on how much Saskatchewan could be losing in all of this. Other provinces aren't really able to give a good idea of how much money is at play here because their tax base and many questions related to that are confidential.
And anyone with an online shopping habit knows, though, that those purchases do add up. Thanks, Bridget.
You're welcome.